Chapter 2, Fullerton Hotel, Singapore. Every month, Rosalind Fung, the property heiress, hosted a Christian fellowship banquet for 300 of her closest girlfriends in the opulent ballroom of the Fullerton Hotel. An invitation to this occasion was highly coveted by a certain segment of Singapore society, regardless of their religious affiliations, as it was a seal of approval from the old guard. There wasn't a single Chindo or mainlander in sight, and also because the food was heavenly. Rosalind brought in her personal chefs, who took over the hotel's kitchen for one day and prepared an enormous buffet feast consisting of the most mouth-watering Singaporean dishes. Most important, this biblical bacchanal was completely free of charge thanks to Rosalind's generosity, although guests were asked to contribute something to the offering basket immediately following the closing prayer. Having strategically chosen a table closest to the buffet area, Daisy Fu sighed as she watched Araminta Lee standing in line at the noodle station dishing out some mee siam. Ayah, the Araminta, Bianca, Anila. She doesn't look old. She just doesn't have any makeup on, that's all. Those supermodels type look like nothing on earth without makeup. Nadine Shaw said as she tucked into her steaming bowl of mee rebus noodles, dousing her mee goreng with more chili oil. Eleanor Young commented, "It has nothing to do with that. I used to see her swim at the Churchill Club, and even when she was coming out of the pool dripping wet, she looked beautiful without a stitch of makeup on. Her face was just her face was just her face has just taken a turn, that's all. She has one of those faces that I always knew would age badly. What is she, 77, 78 now? It's all over for her, la." At that moment, Lorena Lim and Carol Tai arrived at the table with plates piled generously high with food. Wait, who's aging badly? Lorena inquired eagerly. Araminta Lee, over the table with the cool woman. Doesn't she look haggard? Nadine said. Alamak, bite your tongue, Nadine. Do you know she just had a miscarriage? Carol whispered. The ladies all stared at Carol, mouth agape. Again? Are you joking? Who told you, la? Daisy demanded, still chewing on her mee pork. Who else? Kitty, law. Kitty and Aramita are the best of friends now, and ever since this latest miscarriage, she's been spending a lot of time at Kitty's house playing with Giselle. She's completely heartbroken. How often do you see Kitty and Giselle? Lorena asked, marveling that Carol could be so forgiving of her ex-daughter-in-law, the same woman who had cheated on her son, Bernard, with a man Kitty met at a funeral of Carol's late husband, who subsequently dragged Bernard through a particularly acrimonious divorce and custody battle. Of course, it didn't hurt that Carol abhorred her son's new lifestyle of yoga and that ridiculous Jurassic diet, both of which she considered to be satanic. I go over to Kitty's at least once a week, and Giselle comes to church with me every Sunday, Carol proudly reported. It is healthy for Araminta to be playing with your granddaughter when she just lost her own baby, Nadine wondered out loud. Ayah, I'm sure old Mrs. Koo must be giving Araminta so much pressure to produce a grandson. It's been 5 years since she married Colin. My Nikki and Rachel have been married for 2 years now, and they still won't give me a grandchild, Eleanor complained. But Araminta is still young. She has plenty of time, la, Nadine argued. With all of Dorothy's Koo's side disinherited, Kwan's side's good for nothing, and Nigel Koo's running off and marrying that Russian cabaret singer, who is obviously too old to say guy. Colin and Araminta are the last hope to carry on the Koo's name, Daisy commented. Having been born a Wong in the Tin Mining Wongs, Daisy had an encyclopedic knowledge of Singapore's social history. The ladies all shook their heads, casting pitiful glances at Araminta, who to anyone else but those women hypercritical eyes looked perfectly gorgeous and lovely in her yellow striped mini dress from Jacquemus. Well, Eleanor, your niece Astrid just arrived. There's one girl who never seems to age, Carol observed. All the women turned to look at Astrid descending the sweeping curved staircase with her mother, Felicity Leong, the society's queen, Mrs. Lee Yong Chen, and another elderly lady, decked out in cobalt blue sequins hijab. Who is that Malay woman wearing that ginormous ruby choker? If that center stone looks as big as it does from here, it must be the size of a lychee up close, Lorena exclaimed. Having been married into the Lorient jewelry family for more than 3 decades, she definitely knew her rocks. Oh, that's the Dowager Sultana of Parawick. She's staying with the Leongs, of course, Eleanor reported. Alamak, having royalty as house guest is such a nuisance, Daisy complained. Lorena, like most of the other women in the ballroom, scrutinized Astrid from head to toe as she walked to a table wearing what appeared to be a crisp men's button-down shirt tucked into exquisitely cut navy white gingham cigarette trousers. It's true, Astrid actually looks younger and younger every time I see her. Isn't she in her late 30s by now? She looks like a MG's girl coming off the school bus. I bet you must be sneaking off somewhere and getting things done. I can tell you she hasn't had a thing done. She's not the type, Eleanor said. It's how she puts it all together. The other girls her age are dressed up like Christmas trees, but just look at Astrid. Hair is sleek ponytail, ballet flats, not a drop of jewelry except that cross. Is it turquoise? And that outfit. She looks like Audrey Hepburn on the way to a screen test, Daisy said approvingly as she fished around in her new Celine handbag for a toothpick. Bloody hell. See what my snobby daughter-in-law forces me to carry? She gave me this fancy handbag for my birthday because she's embarrassed of being seen next to me when I'm carrying my no-name purse. But I can't ever find anything in here. It's so damn deep and there's so many damn pockets. Daisy, will you please stop swearing? We are in the Lord's presence tonight, you know, Carol admonished. As if on cue, the Christian Fellowship banquet hostess Rosalind Fung got up from her table and walked onto the stage. A short, plumpish woman in her mid-60s with a frizzy spiral perm. Rosalind was dressed in what seemed to be the regulation uniform of every middle-aged, old-money Singaporean heiress. A sleeveless floral blouse, probably purchased from the clearance rack at John Little, taupe elastic waistpants, and orthopedic open-toe sandal. She smiled happily from the podium at her gathering friends. Ladies, thank you all for coming tonight to join in fellowship with Christ. A quick warning to everyone before we start. I'm told that the laksa is dangerously spicy tonight. I don't know what happened, but even Mary Lau, who everyone knows has to have extra chili with everything, told me that she bui tayan the laksa. Now, before we continue to nourish our stomachs and our souls, Bishop C. Baisian will begin our program with a blessing. As the bishop started one of his notoriously tedious prayers, bizarre noises could be heard coming from behind one of the ballroom's side doors. It sounded as there was a heated argument going on outside, followed by a series of muffled bangs and scrapes. Suddenly the door burst open. No, I said, you cannot go in, a female attendant shouted, forcefully breaking the silence. Something could be heard running along the side of the ballroom, wailing intermittently like an animal. Daisy prodded the woman at the next table who had stood up to get a better view. What can you see? She asked anxiously. Dunno, La. It looks like some crazy homeless person, came the reply. What do you mean homeless? There is no such thing as homeless person in Singapore, Eleanor exclaimed. Astrid, who was seated at the far end beside the stage, wasn't fully aware of what was happening until a woman with extremely disheveled hair, wearing stained yoga sweats, suddenly appeared at her table, dragging 2 young girls in school uniform behind her. Mrs. Lee Yong-chin let out a gasp and clutched her purse tightly to her chest as Astrid realized in astonishment that the 2 girls were Chloe and Delphine, Charlie Wu's daughters, and the deranged-looking woman was none other than Charlie's estranged wife, Isabel. The last time Astrid had seen Isabel, she had been exquisitely attired in Dior couture at the Venice Biennale. Now she was completely unrecognizable. What are they doing here in Singapore? Before Astrid could completely react, Isabel Wu took her eldest daughter by her shoulder and turned her towards Astrid. Here she is, she screamed, spit forming at the corners of her mouth. I want you to see with your own eyes. I want you to see the whore that spread her legs for your daddy. Everyone at the table gasped, and Rosalind Fung immediately made the sign of the cross as if it would somehow protect her ears from absorbing the obscenity. The hotel security guard came rushing up, but before Isabel could be properly restrained, she grabbed the nearest bowl of laksa and hurled it at Astrid. Astrid backed away, reflexively, and the bowl ricocheted off the edge of the table, splashing scalding extra spicy soup all over Felicity Leong, Mrs. Lee Yong Chen, and the Dowager Sultana of Perawak. Thanks for listening.